What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Reselling History. As you can see, there's a bunch of stuff on my desk right here. And you probably saw the title of this video that I got all this for free, and that is not clickbait. So it's a very strange story. I bought this on eBay, and honestly, some people who are watching this might not like that I got this for free. They might think it's kind of shady of me or whatever, but I'm going to tell the story now. So all of this stuff here, I put in a bid on auction, and I think my bid was $1,000. And you're probably thinking, what the heck, $1,000 for all this stuff? Well, there was at least one gold ring, and there were two Russian military medals that if they were real, they were worth a lot of money. Factor in like the vintage watches and stuff, and there's some cool old photos in here, and you got a stack of coins. Like, there's easily $1,000 worth of stuff in here. So my bid won. I think it was close to $900. I ordered the items, I paid for it, and it took about a couple weeks to get to me, but when it finally came to me, there was an issue. So one of the issues was the 14 karat gold ring was not real gold. When I looked at it, it was stamped 14 karat, and I'll show you that here. It was obviously fake. I tested it, it was fake. And that alone would have been like $200 or $300 worth of gold. And also the seller didn't put any bubble wrap on anything in here. A bunch of these are all busted. These old Victorian photos, some of them from the Civil War era. A lot of them are bent up, like these tin types and stuff, and I was kind of upset about that. Now, I reached out to the seller, and I told him about the ring, and I told him how there was some damaged stuff, and I said, look, you can just give me a partial refund for the ring and maybe for the damaged stuff. The ring it would have been worth about $200. And strangely, the seller replied to me, and they told me that they gave me a full refund and to keep everything, which is really unusual. So basically, I got all of this for free. All of this stuff on the listing, it said that it was his like generations of family items and collectibles, which I don't know why he would want to just give all this to me for free. It's really unusual, but maybe he just didn't want to deal with having to refund me, or I really don't know. But I'm going to show you guys that I got the refund just to prove my point here. Like I said, some people might not like that, but let's start going through everything. All this is going to be profit for me, and there are some cool vintage watches which I'm looking forward to showing you guys. So let's get into it. All right, you guys, there's a lot to go through. I'm going to try to be brief with some of like the collectible items, but I do want to show you a lot of it. First up, there are a bunch of photos. Some of them are like postcard photos like this. This has a battleship on there. I don't know what battleship that is, but if that's the USS Arizona, that would be pretty cool. It possibly, there's a chance that might be the USS Arizona. That saw service way before World War II, and this postcard looks like it's probably from the 1920s or 30s. Here is another postcard that looks like it's from World War I. There's a cannon in action on the sea. Like, this is really cool stuff, and I don't know who would just give this away for free. It's mind-blowing to me. But a lot of cool old postcard photos, and then there are some tin types too. There's a little girl right there. That's not a tin type, but if I turn these around, these are all mangled up because there was no bubble wrap placed around them. But these are probably from like the 1860s, 1870s era. These are collectible. The depiction on these old photos is what makes it collectible. So these are probably worth like $5 or $10 each. I'll probably lot a lot of these photos together, but if you ever come across a photo with a Civil War soldier, it could be worth a lot of money. Here's another one with a little boy, and this is broken too. That's really a shame. I don't know who would ship it like that. Here is a gentleman with a cane. That's a cool one. And then another one right here. Got an old lady. Well, not old at the time, but she'd be very old right now. And then if that wasn't enough photos for you, here is a pretty cool photo album. I've gotten these in the past, sorry about that. And these are always collectible, valuable. I have looked through this one already. There's no Civil War photos or like soldiers or anything like that. At least not in uniform. And this is, I think this one's a little bit later. This is probably like the 1880s, maybe the 1890s. Some of the photos look a little more modern than others. But yeah, this is a nice photo album. It's probably at least a $50 photo album. The book is a little damaged, which is as expected, but pretty cool find. I don't know why he would just give this away. Next up are some old coins, and I used to collect a lot of coins when I was a kid. Now, I think all of these booklets here are going to be weedy pennies, and I don't think there's anything older than 1941, but a lot of these are just about complete. See, you got your war pennies, steel pennies right there. And there are just stacks and stacks of these weedy pennies. I have heard that weedy pennies are going up in value, especially because pennies in general are apparently going to be discontinued. Some of these are a little modern, like from the 1950s. I think there's even some from the 1970s, starting in 1975. But this is really cool. I mean, if you're scrapping a bunch of copper, which I know somebody who scraps copper from old pennies, it's probably a decent amount of money in here. I would never do that. Too much work, not worth it. But all you coin guys out there, let me know which years I should be looking for. I think the oldest are maybe the late 30s or early 40s. All right, now my favorite stuff. I always love the small little pieces of jewelry, watches, and collectibles. And here is one of those Russian medals I was telling you about. So these did end up being fake. I think that was part of the reason why the auction sold at such a high price. There were so many people because they were hoping these were real. But I know somebody who's an expert in these Russian medals, and he told me these are easily fake. And here's another one right here. Now, just because they're repros doesn't mean they're not worth anything. He said they're still worth maybe like $100 each. But I forget which one it was. It might have been this one with the blue enamel. If this was real, he said it could be worth up to $20,000. So definitely not real. I would suspect with it because it just kind of looked like cheap quality. And there's just a lot of random stuff in here too. Like here's another photo, and then here's this funny little photo with this guy's face, and it says Lifesaver. West Sweeney Park, Wayne, Indiana. So this looks like a little carnival or amusement park. That looks like it's probably from the 1940s for sure. And then there's like this little, like a hose spout, or it kind of looks like a little piece of cannon, like maybe to a little decorative brass cannon. I really don't know. And then I thought this was pretty cool too. This is like an old paperweight, and it says Fairmount Glassworks, Indianapolis. Now, unfortunately, this was busted also. So poor packaging from this seller once again. I think that brass thing probably was a little cannon, because here's a little souvenir cannon from Fort Sumter. And this is really heavy cast iron. All right, let's get into some of this small stuff. So here is the first vintage watch. And it looks like it says Harvel on the dial. Harvel. Once again, another obscure watch brand from back in the day. And I am gonna check all these to see if they're gold or not, or maybe gold filled. And this one is 10 karat gold filled. So that's pretty cool. Does it work? No, the crown doesn't turn, it's overwound. So pretty cool looking 1940s watch. The good thing is gold filled. It is like, I just sold a bunch of scrap gold filled. Not that I'm gonna scrap this, but it sold for like $200 or $300. So there's a lot of people out there who are buying gold-filled jewelry right now to extract all of that scrap gold out of it. So it's a good time to sell it if you have some. And here is what collection is not complete without an old Timex electric. It's a neat looking Timex from the 1970s probably. A lot of random stuff in here, like I don't even know what this is. A little apple with a lion on the back. No idea. And then we got some pocket watches. So the first one, I think this one's more modern. Yeah, this is an Arnhem, probably from the 1970s, 60s. Base metal. And it is mechanical though, so that's pretty cool. Armex Time Co. And here we have another pocket watch. And this is an old, is this an Elgin? Crown Watch Co. Never heard of this one either. Let's see if this is gold filled. Oh, well, it says Sears. So this is a Sears watch case. It doesn't say gold filled, but sometimes it'll say other things like warranted. This one says extra. I think that might mean it's gold filled or gold plated. It awfully looks like it is too. But unfortunately it's missing the hands. Crown is not turning. The porcelain dial's pretty damaged right there on the bottom. So this is going to be a parts pocket watch. Here is that apparently 14 karat gold ring. First of all, it came broken. At least it didn't look broken in the photos. And it's marked 14 karat, but it is so obviously fake. As soon as I saw it, I was kind of disappointed. Look at that. That's not even a pure, like a gold tone color. So I did test it and it was fake. So it's probably just gold plated. But there's a lot of little pins in here. Like here's a presidential pin. Here's a Virgin Mary pendant. And I always check these right here to make sure they're not gold, like these type of medallions, because you guys aren't going to believe this, but in one of my earliest videos on YouTube, I found a gold medallion even bigger than this that was solid 14 karat, and it was worth about $8,000, and I paid like $50 for everything. And that came from eBay too. So always check these gold tone colored tokens and medallions. You just never know. It just doesn't hurt to look. And there are some coins in here too, like a 1977. I have no idea what country this is. This is pretty big. This might be like some sort of commemorative coin. And we got our first piece of gold right here. This is a little gold, looks like an employee pin. And it's marked 10 karat on the back. 10K, and then probably a little diamond, a couple sapphires. Not really a lot of gold value right there, probably around $50. All right, looks like there's a couple more watches here. And this is a sweet looking watch. This is a Waltham S3, so this is an automatic watch. It does sound like it kind of rubs against the back case a little bit. But this is a beautiful watch, man. Pretty big size too. Pretty nice size, probably from the 1950s. If this ends up in running condition, I'll probably add this to my watch collection. I mean, why the heck not? It's a free watch, and if it's running, it's a good investment. A lot of military pins in here, and like this right here, this is a little bracelet that was made. It could have been just a souvenir before the war, but it's all dated like 1930s and 1940s. So that's probably some sort of GI. Some GI brought that back home. And right here is some little pilot wings. I think it says Sterling right there, but these are going to be post-war, this style right here. That's probably late 40s, early 50s. But just so much little pins and stuff in here, you guys. It all adds up, really, especially the military pins. They're very collectible. But here's the last watch. This is my favorite watch. This is a vintage Hamilton. Wow. Is this going to be a gold watch? No, this is a 14 karat gold filled, and the crown isn't turning either, so this is going to need a repair. But man, vintage Hamiltons are always in demand. Unfortunately, dang, it looks like somebody really jacked up that case in the case lid in the back. They took off the whole outer layer of the gold. Dang, that really sucks. I wonder what kind of Hamilton this is. I'm gonna open this up. All right, as you guys, some of you probably know, the vintage Hamiltons, a lot of times it says in the back of the case what kind of Hamilton it is, like a Rodney or something like that. But this one doesn't have any name. It just says 10 karat gold filled, and then your Hamilton watch company. Here's the movement right here. Dial's pretty dirty. And this is a Hamilton 987A movement. So this is going to be a parts watch, but Hamilton, like I said, it's always in demand. So hopefully somebody can fix that up and get that back to its glory days. Well, you guys, that's it for the video. I thought I would share this with you because it's a pretty unbelievable story, and some people still might not believe it, and that's fine or whatever. But I think this is my favorite out of everything in the whole lot. I'll probably hold on to this Waltham because it seems to be running good, and it's got a beautiful case and style. Let me know what you guys think. Why do you think this guy or girl just got rid of all this stuff for free? It's very unusual. Subscribe, comment, like, you guys. I'll see you on the next one. Take care.